Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha-jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sthiti Gati Nitya Nityadi Viruddha Aneka Dharmopaditvat. You can put that on back, Surya.
इति गति नित्यादि विरुद्धानेक धर्मोपाधिकत्वात्
Dharmopaditvat.
धर्मोपाधिकत्वात्
Atma, is it tall or short? Is it fat or thin? Is it good looking or ugly looking? Is it a pleasant person or an unpleasant person? Is that Atma angry or calm? Is it cold or hot? Our body maintains a very regulated temperature, 37 degrees or something. Is it here or is it far? The answer is very peculiar. Any of these you take, here Acharya takes Titi, Gati, Nitya, Anitya, Adi. Answer is, to any one of these, it is neither near nor far. At the same time, it is both near and far. How do you understand a statement like that? It is neither, I'm taking one example, it is neither cold nor hot, but it is cold and hot. Because by itself, when understood from the perspective of the Atma, using the words carefully, when we understand it from the perspective of the Atma, from Paramarthika perspective, there is no hot, there is no cold, there is nothing. Atma has nothing to do with this Jagat. The memory that works during our waking hours is not the memory that you are seeing in the, it's the same memory that projected, but once a sapna is over, that is gone. There's nothing with this. Atma is neither cold nor hot, neither tall nor short. That's rhyming. At the same time, it is both cold and hot, like a fried ice cream. It is both tall and short. All this cold, hot, short, tall, all of them belong to the upadhi. They don't belong to the Atma. Upadhi being in close contact in our experience in the Jagat, it tends to as though lend its characteristics to the Atma, which has no attributes. Therefore, when you say the mind travels to Maldives Islands, it looks as though the Atma travels to Atma. What do you say? In my mind, I traveled to Maldives and enjoyed the beaches. Atma doesn't have to travel to Maldives because Maldives is the Atma. Atma doesn't have to enjoy in the beach because enjoyment is the Atma. Everything is seen from the perspective of our Mithya Jagat is nothing but the Atma. But understood from the perspective of the Atma, what is called Paramarthika Drishtya, there is nothing. There is no hot, there is no cold, there is nothing. Only Atma. In Vivek Chudamani, we saw, it says, Avastatraya Sakshi. Just there, that's all. There is no Avastatraya. Avastatraya belongs to the Mithya Jagat. It is Avastatraya of the Sthula Sukshma Sharira. Atma is just there, that's all. And this Avastatraya is possible because Atma is there. Otherwise, there is no Avastatraya. There is no Sharira. Like that, there is no Dvandva, there is no, not in terms of physical body, not in terms of the Antakarana, not in terms of any of them, is there any relation to Atma directly. All the so-called relationships are directly with the Upadhi. The mind as an Upadhi has certain characteristics of being flirty. Keeps going from here to here to here to here. The body has certain characteristics. As an Upadhi, it seems to lend those characteristics to Atma. I am fat. I am Brahmana. I am a human being. Nothing to do with the Atma. We will see that again when we go into the next verse in the Vivek Chudamani also. Atma is, period. So Acharya says, Sthiti, Gati, Nitya, Anitya. Look at the two examples he takes. Sthiti is that which stays. Gati is that which moves. And Nitya, Anitya also that. That which is unchanging and that which keeps changing all the time. That kind of adi, these kind of extremes and everything in between, virodha aneka dharma upadhitvat. These various things belong to the various upadhis. Therefore, kartrutvam comes from the upadhi. We impute that kartrutvam to the Atma. Bhoktrutvam comes from the upadhi. We again impose it Bhoktritvam, the Atma is saying, I am the enjoyer. I am the doer. Causes a lot of confusion. Viruddha dharmatvat, because of the dharma of the upadhis which enjoy these viruddha dharma, it looks as though the Atma has the viruddha dharma. Atma has nothing. Vishwarupahaiva. That Rupa which caused Arjuna a lot of confusion. He saw past, he saw present, he saw life, he saw death. Everything at the same time. He saw beginning, he saw end, all at the same time. He just didn't know what was going on. He didn't know whether he was going or coming. He didn't include himself in that. The himself that he thought he was. Because at that stage, he's still trying to figure out what Bhagavan is telling him. That is the state of most human beings. Confusion. Because of this paradox that we see, created by the fact that everything is the Atma, Atma is none of them. Our fundamental problem arises from that kind of inequality. Vishwarupahaiva chintamanivat avabhaste. Like we impose on the chintamani various characteristics like color, etc., simply because we think that color, it seems to look like that color. The fact is, even without chintamani, we do that. I don't know if you've seen these courtroom dramas. You know, when a witness goes on the courtroom in the witness stand, and he says, I saw that car hitting this fellow and driving off. Then they ask him for the model of the car, the name, the number. He says, I didn't see the number. They ask the color of the car. He says, blue. And then the defense attorney takes over. I don't know, have you seen these programs? And he rings circles around them. And he says, are you sure it's blue? Was it light blue, dark blue? Could it have been greenish blue? By the time it finishes, this guy doesn't know whether it's blue or green. Correct? We ourselves are confused. Without Chintamani. Even in the world we are confused. How can we not be confused in understanding the nature of the Atma? My own nature. Chintamanivat avabhasate. Therefore he says, Ataha
अतः
durvigneyatvam darshayati.
दुर्विज्ञेयं
दुर्विज्ञेयत्वं
दर्शयति
दर्शयति.
Durvigneyatvam. Durvigneyam, and that the bhava of Durvigneyam, Durvigneyamness, if you want. The difficulty in understanding this. What shows? Remember, this is Yamadharmaraja telling Nachiketa, Kastam madanyo jnatumarhati iti.
कस्तं मदन्यो
मदन्यो
ज्ञातुम् अर्हति
ज्ञातुमर्हति
इति
इति.
Who is capable, who is eligible other than I to understand this? To show that because of these things, because Vishwarupavat, it could be, in fact, it is confusing and therefore difficult to understand. And therefore, people draw their own conclusions. Everybody draws his or her own conclusion about the nature of the Atma. Kastam madanyah jnatum arhati. It looks like Yamadharmaraja is saying, only I know, you don't know. Nobody else knows. Only I can know. Nobody else has the qualification to know. That's not the way it is to be read. If you take a literal translation, that's what it'll sound like. Mad anyaha jnatum arhati. Other than me. But, in the Gita also, many places after the 7th chapter, people who don't understand confuse themselves. Somebody told me once, long time ago, that, you should not worship Lord Krishna. I said, why? So look at the way he speaks in the Gita. Ananyo mam chintayati. He talks about as if he is the only thing left. There are so many other gods. Because his perspective was that's all he knew. He said, I'm a Shiva Bhakta. Shiva doesn't say these things. But Krishna says he's so arrogant, so selfish. But when a jnani is there, and that jnani is your guru, what do you say in the Guru Stotram? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, everything is Guru. Because Guru is a jnani. And once the jnani, there is nothing else other than that. All these gods and goddesses that we have are only personal deities for our own ease more than anything else. When Lord Krishna talks as Bhagavan, as Ishvara, there is only one Ishvara. In fact, he says very clearly in some of the other sections of the Gita also, it doesn't matter who you pray to, the prayers come to me. And I distribute the phala through the same deities that you pray to, that anyone prays to. So it's not arrogance. It is one second. It is not arrogance. It is something to be understood. That when a jnani speaks, Dhira Purusha speaks, there's only Ishvara. What we see, what we relate to in this Jagat is only the form that you see, Nama Rupa. And our recognition of everybody as Ishvara, it becomes even more relevant when you talk to a Dhira Purusha. So he says, Kastam madanyaha jnatum. Who? That means who other than a person who is understood is capable of knowing this. And who is capable of understanding is one who is an adhikari, who is ready, who is a jignasu. Nobody else can understand. Therefore, this is durvigneyaha. So far, Bhashyakara hasn't touched upon one pada. Shayano yati sarvataha. What does that mean? Vashyakara takes that up separately and talks about what is the nature of sleep and what happens in sleep. Because it says, Shayano, the sleeping person, sleeping Atma, there is no such thing as sleeping Atma. Atma is always just there, that's all. No sleeping, no wake. All the sleeping wake belongs to Mithya Jagat. That Atma in the sleeper, as though sleeping, as though Lord Vishnu on Nagashesha is everywhere. In fact, he's called Vishnu because he is everywhere. You've seen that name. Acharya takes that up for a little bit more explanation, commentary. Karananam upashamaha shayanam.
Karananamupashamaha
Upashamah
shayanam.
shayanam.
Karana janitasya ekadesha vijnanasya upashamaha shayanasya bhavati.
कारणजनितस्य एकादशविज्ञानस्य उपशमः शयानस्य भवति.
Very good. I'm now taking full sentences because I think we've done quite a few now. Hopefully, none of you will have any difficulty. Karana janatasya kekadesha vijnanasya upashamaha shayanasya bhavati. Okay, let's take these two sentences. Karananam upashamaha shayanam. Shayanam is deep sleep. In sleep, all the karanas are resolved. All the karmendriyas are resolved. None of your karmendriyas are available for operation. Hands, legs, etc. We might have involuntary movement, or you may do sleepwalking. But then that's not deep sleep we're talking about. That is sleepwalking. They are not available. They are resolved. Sometimes people mutter in their sleep, they talk in their sleep. But that's also not deep sleep. That's also a halfway. It's neither sleep nor waking. In deep sleep, all functions cease. All karanas go to sleep. In sleep, all karanas go to sleep. Jnanendriyas also go to sleep. If Jnanendriyas don't go to sleep, you will keep getting inputs. You can't sleep. Antakarana goes to sleep. Again, if the Antakarana doesn't go to sleep, you can't sleep. If the mind is working on an insult somebody faced during the day and keeps thinking, I should have said this, I should have told him you can't do this, there's no deep sleep. Many times this happens, no? During the day, not even during the day. 3 years ago, there was an encounter. Not the kind of police encounter. Let's say traffic encounter. And somebody on the road threw a few curses at you. And you came off second best in that argument. Yeah? You remember that. How could you have said that to me? How could you have said that? Then you're not sleeping. because something is still operational. In deep sleep, all the karananam upashamaha, all karanas are resolved. Only prana operates. Prana operates because you need to get up next day and continue to exhaust your karma. But jnanendriya, karmendriya is gone. Gone means it is not available. That is deep sleep. So now we have a definition of deep sleep. Shayanam is karananam upashamaha is karana. Karana janit, then what happens? Karana janita ekadesha vijnanasya upashamaha shayanasya bhavati. So, in this sleep state, what is it that you don't do? In the waking state, what happens to our thinking, our vritti, our brain? Karana janita ekadesha vijnanam. Born of these karanas. The thought lands on a single object and wraps around it. At that one instant, that is the only object on which the thought lands. But it doesn't stay there. At time T2, it goes to another object. Sometimes related, sometimes unrelated. So you have this Ekadesha Jnanam of one object at a time. Karana Janita Ekadesha Vijnanam. Born of the Karanas. That's it. That is not there in deep sleep. That's why I said, if mind is occupied with an argument you had 3 years ago, then that's not deep sleep. Shayanasya bhavati upashamaha. This kind of ekadesha vijnanam is not there. And yet, during deep sleep, I, the Atma, is still there. And what is the nature of I, the Atma? Nya dhatvartha. Nyapti. See, what sometimes the word used, universal consciousness. Just consciousness. Not the consciousness that we understand in our daily language use, but the Chaitanyam is still around. I, as the Chaitanyam, is still available while everything else is gone. So that the same identified I comes in again for operation next day. So while Karana Janita Ekadesha Vijnanam is gone, what remains? Kevala Samanya Vijnanam. Samanya Vijnanam is mere consciousness. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that Jnanam. That Nyapti, which is the Adhishtanam for every Jnanam or Ajnanam in the Jagat. That which makes Jnanam possible, that which makes Ajnanam also possible. That which, because of which Jnanam is Jnanam. I say, I know football. I know who won the World Cup last year. I know. That I know is possible because of which consciousness, Jnanam. I also know that I don't know something. I don't know what is Planck's constant. I know that I don't know Planck's constant. That also has an adhisthana, the same consciousness, Atma. Every knowledge is available because Atma is there. Every thought of ignorance is available because Atma is there. So he says, Yada Chaiva.
Yada Chevam.
Yeah. Yada Chaivam. Kevala Samyanya Vijnanatvat.
केवल सामान्य विज्ञानत्वात्
Vijnanatvat.
Sarvataha Yati Iva.
सर्वतः
Sarvataha
याति इव
Yati Iva.
The Cha Evam. While the Karma Janita Ekadesha Vijnanam is not available, is resolved, consciousness still is there, and consciousness is the adhishthanam for every jnanam. So every jnanam is there. So he said, because of that, it is as though it goes everywhere in sleep. Not that it doesn't give you the same impression while waking, but waking, I'm more aware of the Ekadesha Vijnana. In waking hours, I'm more, that becomes pradhanyam if you want. That is something I'm aware of. In sleep, that is not there. So that statement, Shayano Yati Sarvataha, the basis for that is this. Because your Ekadesha Vijnanam is not there. What is available is only this one Samanya Vijnanam. Therefore, it looks as though the Atma goes everywhere. Atma is all pervading. Although I might get up and say, I had a good sleep, the fact is because there is no single object thought, but only Samanya Jnanam. In fact, that Samanya Jnanam, if I was aware of, I would be Ishvara. That means I know everything. I am Ishvara in sleep. During sleep, because Kevala Samanya Vijnanatvat Sarvataha Yati Iva. It looks as though Atma is everywhere. Here in this context, I would say Atma goes everywhere. They're all continuation of the same paradox. And these paradoxes are used to help understand the nature of Atma. We'll continue. Yada
यदा
Yada
Vishesha Vijnanasthaha
विशेष विज्ञानस्थः
Vijnanastha
Vena Rupena Sthitaha Eva San
स्वेन रूपेण स्थित
Rupena
एव
Sthita Eva
सन्
San
Mana Adi Gatishu
मन
Mana Adi
आदिगतिषु
Gatishu
Tad Upadikatvad Duram Rajati Iva
तद्
Tad
उपाधिकत्वात् दूरं
Upadikatvat
व्रजति
Duram
इव
Vrajati Iva
Yada Vishesha Vijnanasthaha. When the Vishesha Vijnana is stilled, thaha. Yada Vishesha Vijnanasthaha, then in deep sleep, Atma Svena Rupena Sthita Eva San. Even though remaining in its where it is. Mana adi gatishu tad upadikatva duram vrajati. Eva. For whom mana upadikaha, for whom mana is upadhi, manas is upadhi, it is as though it could go anywhere. It is everywhere. Because it's not restricted by a ekadesha vijnana. Our normal state in waking state is that there is one particular thought at a time and keeps changing. Since all these are shut, it looks as though the Atma can go anywhere because it's all pervasive. Sarvataha. Svena rupena sthita eva sanna. In its own state, which is the only state. It's not even a state. If you say it's a state, then you'll say it'll change. So I can't even use the word state. Being itself. Svena rupena sthita eva sanna. Mana adi gatishu, like the mana and other manas and other upadhi, tad upadikatvat duram brajati iva. As though it can go anywhere. Sacha iha iva vartate.
Sacha iha aiva vartate.
Although it looks like Rajat Sarvataha Duram Rajati Iva, but it is Svena Rupena Sthita Eva Sanna. So it says such a, however, Satu, Sahatu, Iha Eva Vartate. Very dangerous statement. It stays, if you literally take it, means stays here only. Atma is not staying anywhere. Atma is, period. If you say iha eva vartate, then I shouldn't say that tatra na vartate. Not that. Being Atma only, it is as though it is traveling everywhere. There is a little bit more explanation available in this for this particular mantra in the Tika written by Anandagiri. Little bit more explanation. We can read that. I've made a copy of that. Surya, can you put it up? Expand it a bit. Thanks. Very typical style of writing Bashyam and Tika, especially the Tika, start by saying, if to address a possible doubt, Bhashyakara is written like this. Here also it starts like this. Iti ashankhyaha. Here. You can point to that, point the pointer, Surya. Syadityashankhyaha. No, last word in the first line. Last word. Iti ashankhyaha. Syad, sat to do, that goes to the previous thing. Iti ashanka, ashankhya aha. to address a doubt. What kind of doubt? It says, Viruddha aneka dharmatvat durvigneya chet atma katham tarhi panditasyapi sugneya syat. If it is so difficult because of the Viruddha dharma, how can a Pandita also get to know? How can I know? I'm an intelligent person. How can I know? To address that kind of doubt, he gives us sentence, Titi Gati Iti, that sentence. That's how it is typically written. That whole explanation is Titi Gati Nitya Nityadi Viruddha Aneka Dharma, because they are Upadhi based dharma. They are not Atma's dharma. That explanation is given to help you understand that that's how Pandita's thinking person can understand this. Vishwarupo Manihi Yatha Nana Rupaha Abhavasate Param Nana Vida Upadhi Sanna. No, Upadhi Sannidhanat Nasvato Nana Rupaha. Because the Upadhi in this many Rupa, Upadhi has many Rupa. Being near, it is not physically near, but they are associated. Mind is associated with the Atma. In fact, mind is considered the closest to the Atma, the reflection of the Atma, if you want. And because of this closeness, the mind being an Upadhi, its dharma, it looks as though it is the dharma of the Atma, although nasvato nana rupaha, nasvataha nana rupaha. Atma is no rupa. There is no form at all. There is no question of nana rupa. But just like Vishwarupaha Manihi Yatha Nana Rupaha Avabhasate, Param Nana Vidha Upadhi Sannidhanat, because of the closeness of the Upadhi, its Nana Rupa is as though given to the Atma. Chinta manau va yadyat chintayate tat chintopadhikamam eva avabhasate na tattvataha. It explains the Chintamani. Chintamani yadyat chintyate, yadyat chintyate tat chintopadhikam eva. It appears to take that thought form and takes that particular color or whatever. That is Chintamani, and shines like the Ravabhaste, not tattvataha, not in reality. Nothing changes in the Chintamani. It is only as though. And that as though is what we are trying to explain by saying that this Atma as though takes on the dharma of the Upadhi. As though. Tatha sthiti gati nitya nityadayoho viruddha aneka dharmaha yesham tad upadivashat atma api viruddha dharmavan iva avabhasate iti yojana. That's the idea. What is the idea? The same way, all these varieties of viruddha dharma, sthiti gati, nitya nitya, etc., these aneka viruddha dharmaha yesham tad upadivashad, they belong to upadhi. Atma api viruddha dharmavaniva avabhasate. Atma also appears to have all the viruddha dharma. Therefore, you have this paradox. Atma doesn't change anything. Atma is Atma, period. It is. I can't even say it is, it stays. Stays means it can also change. Atma is. But it, as though all these opposites seem to be present in the Atma. Therefore, the statement at the beginning saying that if you ask me whether it is near or far, I have to say it is near and far. It is neither near nor far. And this is the explanation for that. That near far belongs to the Upadhi. And like Chintamani, the Upadhi appears to impose its dharma onto the Atma, all at the same time. Because even time I can say the same thing. Is Atma today or tomorrow? Atma is today and tomorrow, and Atma is neither today nor tomorrow. Today and tomorrow are Atma. Atma is neither today nor tomorrow, but seen from within this Jagat, it looks like Atma is today and tomorrow. That's the power of this Upadhi being Sannidhanat, being close to it. Like that, iti tasya svigneyo bhavati. Upadhya vivikta darshitah tu durvigneha eva ityartha. Therefore, it's difficult to understand. Swataha viruddha dharmatvam nasti iti etadeva shruti yojanaya darshayati karananam ityadina. Shruti, the idea expressed in the Shruti, in this Upanishad, is that this viruddha dharmavatvam, does not belong to the Atma. Swataha viruddha dharmatvatvam nasti. There is no viruddha dharmatvatvam for the Atma. Any viruddha dharmatvatvam belongs to the Upadhi. And this identification, separation, we've often talked about is a cognitive separation, only to be understood. Iti etadeva shruti yojanaya darshayati. By these sentence in the Shruti, in this Upanishad, this is what is being explained. By which sentence? Karananam upashamaha shainam etc. Karananam ityadina. This sentence is Karananam upashama shainam. We understand what shainam is, what sleep is. And in that sleep, there is no ekadesha vijnanam, but samanya vijnanam is still there. Therefore, it looks like everything is, Atma is everywhere, which is true, Atma is everywhere. But it looks like Atma goes everywhere. Atma doesn't go anywhere. Just to understand this, that one section has been given to explain Trayano Yati Sarvataha. This, to understand this, how to understand this? Next few verses, we have dealt with explanation of what the Atma is using paradoxes. Okay, how do I understand this Atma? What do I do to understand the Atma? Nachiketa is already doing this. He went and asked Yamadharmaraja, be my guru and teach me. It is not something you will find by any serendipity, by any chance. Atma Jnanam will not come through an accident. A serendipitous accident. It has come only by inquiry. And to establish that, in the next few verses, Shruti takes us through some passages and says, you cannot get it by XYZ process. The only process you can get it by which you can get the thing is, A, you have to inquire. You must have mumukshutvam. Already is established, you must have adhikaritvam. You must have enough punya for a guru. And you must have the necessary backing in the mind to look for it. Jignasatvam. Understanding that that knowledge is what I'm seeking. It says in this, in connecting the next verse, Bhashyakara says, Tad Vijnanacha Shokatyaya Ityapi Darshayati. If you gain that jnanam, shokam can be overcome. Shoka atyaya ityapi darshayati. And he gives the next 2 or 3 verses saying, how do I understand this? And if I understand this, what is the phala? The phala is shoka nivritti. It is something we would all like to get rid of, shokam. I don't want shokam. Earlier he had said, no, shokamohau jahati. I don't want to get rid of harsha shoka jahati. I don't want to get rid of harsha. I want to get rid of only shoka. Don't worry. This harsha that you're talking about in Jagat is not worth having because it can never come alone. It will always come with the shoka. I will tell you a better method of doing it. Shastra is saying, I'm not saying. You get rid of the shoka. Along with it, you get rid of that harsha which you are generally striving for. The harsha in this Jagat. I will tell you something even better. We talked about it last time. If you take a scale, harsha at one end and then zero and then shoka at the other end, I would like to get rid of everything other than past the zero. And this side, I'd like to keep going. And then people end up saying, I'm going to be looking for bliss. So you can't find a better word for that. Shastra says, don't worry. Bliss is as good because if you get bliss, you will also get the other end. Highest form of shoka. So don't want that. What you want is jnanam. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. That jnanam which gives you atma jnanam, which is the moksha jnanam. That jnanam, and you can get that. Nachiketa has already worked his way towards that. And we will be looking at it. We will see what Shastra has to say in these next verses. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om